Americans are saying the exact same thing about you, that you should have warned them the virus was spreading like wildfire through the month of February instead of holding rallies with thousands of people. Why did you wait so long to warn them?
Who are you with?
And why did you
Yeah.
not have social distancing until March 16th?
Who are you with?
I'm Weijia Jiang with CBS News.
So, if you look at what I did in terms of cutting off or banning China from coming in.
Chinese nationals. But by the way, not Americans who are also
Nice and
coming
easy,
from China.
nice and easy, just relax. We cut it off. People were amazed. These gentlemen, everybody was amazed that I did it. We had 21 people in a room. Everybody was against it but me. Dr. Fauci said, had I not done that, perhaps tens of thousands, and maybe much more than that, people would have died. I was very early, very, very early. And we just saw, you saw Bret Baier making a statement. They had a debate well into February. And not even mentioned, it wasn't even mentioned, the Democrats. We were very early. Oh, I'm the president. And you know what I just did? And you know what I just...
And by the way, when you issued the ban, the virus was already here.
Okay, and you know how many people, when I issued the ban, how many cases of virus were in the United States when I issued the ban? Do you know the number? No, how many cases? Remember I said one person. How many cases were here when I issued the ban?
But did you know?
No, you have to do your research. How many?
I did my research. On the 23rd of March, you said you knew this was going to be a pandemic.
Can I tell you what? I did know it. I did know it. All I have to do is look.
So you knew it was
Anybody knew it. Just, are you ready? How many cases were in the United States when I did my ban? How many people had died in the United States?
So do you acknowledge that you didn't think
Keep your
it was
voice down,
going to
please.
spread?
Keep your voice down.
Did you not?
How many cases were in the United States? I did a ban where I'm closing up the entire country. How many people died?
And that's a fair point.
How many people died in the United States? And yet I closed up the country, and I believe there were no deaths, 0 deaths at the time I closed up the country. Nobody was there. And you should say thank you very much for good judgment. Go ahead, please.
You just mentioned Germany. Germany is allowing small stores to open
Yes, they
tomorrow.
are. I just spoke to them.
Does this give you confidence that some European countries are on the mend of recovery?
Well, I hope so. I
And
mean,
will
we
you
hope it works out. Look, I spoke with Angela. I spoke with Angela, and they're going to start a process of opening, very much like we are. We are too. I spoke with numerous governors. They're doing it also. Areas that have been where number one, they've done a good job, and where they don't have much of a problem. Germany's starting the process also, yes, and I'm very happy about that. Some places in Europe, as you know, can't start the process for a while.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 Nevada questions. First one, the mayor of Las Vegas thinks it's total insanity for business to be shut down in Nevada, which the governor Sisolak ordered. Who's right?
Well, they shut one of my hotels down, too. Okay, so, you know, I'm not involved in that. I could be if I wanted to. I just chose not to be. By the way, just so you know, I could be if I wanted to, but I chose not. But they closed a very big hotel that I have in Nevada down in Las Vegas. It's a very severe step he took. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But, you know, you could call that one either way. I know the mayor's very upset with it. Some owners are very upset with it. Some of the developers out there are very upset. Others, they say, hey, we got to get rid of it. I can see both sides of that.
And I'd like to follow up with one other question. I asked you recently about an SBA rule that said that paycheck protection money could not go to small casinos. You said you'd look into it, and clearly something happened.
They are looking into it right now because they do have, you know, they have small casinos that don't have too many people, and they are looking, and they're going to make a ruling, I understand, next week.
They already did make a ruling, and they changed it from small casinos that make more than 1/3 of their income couldn't qualify to half.
I know, but they're looking at that. They're continuing to look at that. It's a big topic because a lot of people are involved.
Mr. President.
Let's give it a shot.
You know, Governor Cuomo, as you played in that clip, has indeed praised a lot of what the federal government has done, but he...
Excuse me. He didn't say a lot. He said we did a phenomenal job. He didn't say a lot. He didn't say you did a good job on ventilators but nothing else. No, he said we did a phenomenal job. So report accurately, because you are one of the most inaccurate reporters. Go ahead.
What he has said is that, and along with a bunch of Republican governors who've said what they need, though, is a national strategy when it comes to testing. Because on supplies, they say that they're competing against one another.
They said the same thing with ventilators, and now we have so many that we're going to be able to send them and help other countries that are in need. We're doing great on testing, and we are actually using the Act, as you know, on a certain company.
But what about on the reagents? They say that that's something that they can't get.
We're in
hold
great
of.
shape. It's so easy to get. That reagents and swabs are so easy to get. When you have to build a very expensive piece of machinery controlled by computers, that's a different thing. And no, we'll have everything's going to be in very good shape very soon. We're going to be in very good shape very soon. Yeah, please go ahead.
President, just the latest stimulus package, will that have funding for states and local governments?
Well, I don't want to comment on it, but we will be saving that for another time.
Will you be willing to...
And by the way, some states and local governments need it. I'm the first one to admit that. We're going to be saving that for another little bit of a later date. Will probably be our next negotiation.
Okay.
But they do, I'm in favor of it, I will say. And I told the Republicans today, I had I think a great talk with Republican senators today, and all of them, I think, just about all of them, and conference call. And we are going to be, that'll be a very big topic over the next couple of weeks. It's very important.
And what is the administration doing to make sure that, hotel chains and hedge funds
Well, that's
do not
another one.
access,
Yeah, no, that's
funds?
another one. You have hotels that are big, massive buildings that are under-levered, but if you have no income at all coming out, no income at all, these hotels they go from under-levered to they have to be closed down. It's a terrible thing. I don't know that they're working on that specific problem, but it's a problem they should be talking about. I mean, you have people that own a hotel where they go from having a very successful hotel with, many employees, thousands of people, to all of a sudden closing it down. I read where my wonderful place in Florida, in Miami, Doral, they had to let a lot of the employees go because it's essentially closed. You can't use it. You can't have the restaurants. You can't have it. So you have to close it down. That's an example. Many hotels are closing down throughout the country, and hopefully they're going to be able to open up relatively quickly.
But the funds were specifically for small businesses.
Yeah.
Would the administration
Well, it
make
depends
sure
how the
that that's-
hotel is considered. Is it owned by a big chain? But even if it's owned by a big chain, that's devastating. If they have 200 hotels in the country and they're closed, and it's not only in the country. Remember this. This is all over the world. If they could have 2,000 hotels that are in other countries. They're also closed. We're in better shape than most when you think about it. So I think we're going to be looking at it. I think it's a very big problem. And it's a lot of people employed. Yeah, here we go.
Mr. President, more than 22 million Americans are currently unemployed as a result of this. Today we hit the grim milestone of more than 40,000 Americans now having died from the coronavirus. Can you explain then why you come out here and you are reading clips and showing clips of praise for you and for your administration? Is this really the time for self-congratulations?
Well, I will tell you this. What I'm doing is I'm standing up for the men and women that have done such an incredible job. Not for me, for the men and women, admirals, vice president, if I might, but all of the men and women, thousands, tens of thousands of them that built hospitals in New York and New Jersey and all over this country in record time. They throw up 1,000 beds in 4 days. I'm sticking up for those people. Those people have been incredible. I'm also sticking up for doctors and nurses and military doctors and nurses.
The clips that you played and what you read earlier was praising you and your administration.
All I played today was Governor Cuomo
to do that, sir.
saying very positive things about the job the federal government has done.
On this
And
day,
those
more than
people
40,000
and
Americans have now died.
those people have been just absolutely excoriated by some of the fake news, like you. You're CNN, you're fake news. And let me just tell you, they were excoriated by people like you that don't know any better because you don't have the brains you were born with. You should be praising the people that have done a good job, not doing what you do. Even that question. So just so you understand, if we didn't do a
The question is
job...
why now? Not why are you doing it,
I'll tell you
but
why now. Are you ready? Because these people are right now in hospitals. It's dangerous. It's going to a battlefield. And I want these people, I want you,
wasn't about
I want
hospital
you in the,
workers, sir. This wasn't about
it's
the
all about
doctors.
that.
This was
It's not
about
about
you
me.
and your
No,
administration.
nothing's about me.
That was
You,
what you
look,
read.
you're never going to treat me fairly, many of you. And I understand that. I don't even know. I got here with the worst, most unfair press treatment, they say, in the history of the United States for a president. They did say Abraham Lincoln had very bad treatment, too. Let me just tell you.
It has your name in it. It talks about Trump remaking the playbook.
Well, that's a positive thing because that's an exercise in how to do it and what to do. And that's good for the future. People can learn from that. But I want the men and women of this country that are in danger, the admirals and the generals that have done a job like they've never done before. They're in war. We're in war. You know, I call it the invisible enemy. That's a war. And it's a dangerous war. We're also at a level, when you said 40,000 people, and you're right, almost 40,000 people. And what, oh, more than, okay, good, correct me.
41,000.
Good, well, I'm really glad you corrected me, CNN. But here's the story, let me just tell you something. If we didn't do what we did, the 40,000 right now could be 1 million people, not 40,000, it could be 1 million. We're tracking at much less than the lowest possible estimate. And that's a great tribute to a number of people and a number of things. One of the things that it's a tribute to is what's taken place in this country with the American people. Because they've gone inside, they've done it. They've done a job that nobody thought was possible. And in fact, when they did the models, as they call them, nobody thought it was possible. They did models not based on this kind of success. I've seen New York streets, and I see it in the morning. I've watched all my life New York streets, and you can't even see the pavement. There's so many people. And you take a look this morning, you take a look, even on Friday morning, I looked at it, I saw it through a camera. There wasn't a person on Fifth Avenue, there wasn't a person on Madison Avenue. I've never seen anything like it because people have really listened to instructions and they've listened to what we've had to say, and the professionals, they've listened. And those people should really give them a lot of credit, including people like you, because you just don't have the sense to understand what's going on. All right. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Should publicly traded companies like Shake Shack and Quantum Corp and Ruth's Chris, should they have access to the PPP program?
Well, it would depend. It would depend. A lot of those, I don't know much about any of those companies, but a lot of times they're owned by franchisees where they own one or two places, and, you know, they are small businesses. So a lot of that would depend on what the formula is. But again, many of those companies are, you know, they're out to franchisees. A franchisee could open up one of the places that you mentioned. And so, yeah, I would say that's important, actually. That's like a restaurant. Go ahead, please.
You know, these you referred to these protests earlier. You know, some of them are getting pretty intense, and we're actually getting some death threats to some governors who are reluctant to...
You are in the media?
No, the governors are getting death threats. You know, governors of Kentucky, Michigan, Virginia, they're getting increased levels of death threats. And are you concerned that you're talking about liberation and the Second Amendment and all this stuff?
No,
are you inciting violence among the few people?
I've seen the people. I've seen interviews of the people. These are great people. Look, they want to get, they call cabin fever. You've heard the term? They've got cabin fever. They want to get back. They want their life back. Their life was taken away from them. And, you know, they learned a lot during this period. They learned to do things differently than they have in the past. And, you know, they'll do it hopefully until the virus has passed. And when the virus passes, I hope we're going to be sitting next to each other in baseball games, football games, basketball games, ice hockey games. I hope we're going to be sitting next to each other. I hope you have golf. The Masters is going to have 100,000 people, not 25 people watching at the course.
I mean,
I am not. No, I'm not. I think these people are. I've never seen so many American flags. I mean, I'm seeing the same thing that you're seeing. I don't see it any differently.
There too.
They're who?
Nazi flags.
Well, that I totally would say no way. But I didn't see that. I see all, of course, I'm sure the news plays that up. I've seen American flags all over the place. I have never seen so many American flags at a rally as I have in these rallies. These people love our country. They want to get back to work. Please, go ahead.
Have you thought any more about pardoning Paul Manafort or Roger Stone so they're not exposed to coronavirus in jail?
Well, I just tell you this. Roger Stone was treated very unfairly. Paul Manafort, the Black Book, turned out to be a fraud. We learned that out during the various last number of weeks and months. They had a Black Book that came out of Ukraine, turned out to be a fraud. Turned out to be a fraud. They convicted a man, turned out to be a fraud. General Flynn was a highly respected person, and it turned out to be a scam on him. The FBI said he didn't lie. And Mueller's people wanted him to go to jail. Okay? So what am I going to do? You'll find out what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. But I will tell you, the whole thing turned out to be a scam. And it turned out to be a disgrace to our country. And it was a takedown of a duly elected president. And these people suffered greatly. General Flynn, I mean, what they did to him. And even the FBI said, and they had some, and nobody bigger fan of the FBI than me at the level of the people that really matter. But the top of the FBI was scum. And what they did to General Flynn, and you know it, and everybody knows it, was a disgrace. He was in the service for over 30 years. He ends up being a general and respected. Respected. And almost his first day in office, they come in with papers. They want to investigate him. Never happened before. And now the tables are turned. Investigate the investigators, I guess. These were crooked people. These are bad people. These are very dangerous people. You know what they are, though? They're scum. They're human scum. All right, do you want to have one in the back, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. The CDC has finally admitted to profound failures with testing kits from the beginning of the outbreak. Is this a function of lax oversight from the Obama